Humans, the dominant life form on Earth. A 7 billion strong, planet-wide race of space-traveling bipedal apes, capable of great technological marvels and constant innovation. We became this wondrous people from a loose band of hunter-gatherers scattered round the globe some 10,000 years ago. Before that time, humans are painted to be nomadic hunter-gatherers, cavemen, an illiterate people lacking the ability to navigate the seas or cultivate crops, isolated communities of tribes, living a simple existence. Lacking the wheel or knowledge of the stars, they built no lasting monuments or structures of any kind anywhere. We are told that the current epoch of civilization and technology represents humanity's one and only rise to advanced civilization and global influence. But this is not the case. This is the story of human history on Earth and how it is being rewritten by astounding new discoveries. It's a story that changes our knowledge and understanding of human survival, migration, and evolution on this planet. It's a story that some have guessed at in the past and many have speculated about. But now, thanks to very recent discoveries in the field of archaeology and genetics, more of our past has been revealed than ever before. This, then, is the new history of humanity. These bones were found in Ethiopia by Shannon McFerran of the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology. McFerran and his colleagues claim the find is evidence that the first known human ancestor tool wielder and meat lover was Australopithecus afarensis. According to the study published in Nature, Australopithecus afarensis, the only known hominin species present in the region at the time, used tools. Our ancestors were carving meat some 800,000 years earlier than previously thought. The marks on these fossilized animal bones indicate that human butchers were using stone tools as early as 3.4 million years ago. The finds suggest that the evolution of tool use and meat eating among our human ancestors is more complex than existing theories admit. They also add to a growing body of evidence that Australopithecus afarensis may have been more human-like and less primitive than some have assumed. This discovery pushes back in time dramatically two of the more fundamental behaviors that played an important role in human evolution: meat consumption and tool use. The idea that the origins of stone tool use, meat consumption, and the origins of our genus Homo all occurred together around 2.5 million years ago is no longer valid. Instead, it's likely that hominins experimented with stone tools to help them eat meat and marrow much earlier, 1 million years earlier. The most ancient evidence of tool-making by early humans and their relatives is thought to be 2.6 million years ago. Simple pebble choppers for hacking and crushing. These basic Oldowan tools, named after the Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, were thought to be wielded by our predecessors for around 1 million years. But a new collection of stone tools, discovered in Kokisali, Kenya, belonged to a second, more advanced generation of tool making. Known as Acheulean tools, after a prominent archaeological site in France, they are larger, heavier, and have sharp cutting edges that are chipped from opposite sides into the familiar teardrop shape. Randall Sussman, University of Chicago, posits that modern anatomy of the human thumb is an evolutionary response to the requirements associated with making and handling tools. He used the anatomy of opposable thumbs as the basis for his argument and compared bones and muscles of humans and chimpanzee thumbs, finding that humans have 3 muscles which are lacking in chimpanzees. Humans also have thicker metacarpals with broader heads, allowing more precise grasping than the chimpanzee hand can perform. Evolutionary evidence in human fossils show that tool use and tool making coupled with meat eating increased the size of the human brain and facilitated the appearance of specialized gripping muscles for our thumbs and larger brains. The brains of early hominins were about the same size as that of a chimpanzee. However, during the next million years or more, a process of encephalization began. By the time of the arrival of Homo erectus in the fossil record, cranial capacity had doubled to 850 cc's. The Acheulean tools represent a great technological leap, says Dennis Kent, a geologist from Rutgers University in New Jersey. The discovery of their earlier manufacture suggests early humans were wielding sophisticated stone tools at least 300,000 years earlier than thought, 1.9 million years ago. Until recently, the oldest unchallenged evidence of human hunting came from a 400,000-year-old site in Germany. The evidence came from marks left by spears on horse bones. Horses were clearly being speared and their flesh eaten. But new evidence from an ancient butchery site in Tanzania shows early man used complex hunting techniques to ambush and kill antelopes, gazelles, wildebeest and other large animals at least 2 million years ago. The discovery by anthropologist Professor Henry Bunn of Wisconsin University pushes back the definitive date for the beginning of systematic human hunting by hundreds of thousands of years. 2 million years ago, our human ancestors were small-brained ape men. Previously, many scientists assumed the meat they butchered and ate had been gathered from animals that had died from natural causes, or had been left behind by lions, leopards, and other carnivores. We know that humans ate meat 2 million years ago, said Bunn, speaking at the European Society for the Study of Human Evolution. What was not clear was the source of that meat. However, we have compared the type of prey killed by lions and leopards today with the type of prey selected by humans in those days. This shows that men and women could not have been taking kill from other animals, or eating those that had died of natural causes. Humans were selecting and killing what they wanted. Once our species got a taste for meat, it was provided with a dense protein-rich source of energy. We no longer needed to invest internal resources on huge digestive tracts that were previously required to process vegetation and fruit, which are more difficult to digest. This new energy-rich resource was then diverted inside our bodies and used to fuel our growing brains. Over the next 2 million years, our crania grew, producing a species of humans with increasingly large brains. The ability to use fire is regarded as a key step in human development because it gave us access to cooked foods and new technologies. Evidence to determine exactly when humans acquired the ability has been difficult to verify. Claims that the skill existed very early in human development have been challenged by skeptics arguing that fire remains from open sites could have been the result of natural blazes ignited by lightning. In 2012, scientists announced the finding of new evidence that our ancestors were using fire as early as 1 million years ago. It takes the form of ash and bone fragments recovered from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. Scientists based at the United States, Israel, Germany and South African institutions say sediments in this cave shows frequent, controlled fires were lit on the site. Their research describes burnt remains of grasses, brushes, leaves and even bones, some 30 meters back from the entrance. The depth of this sediment suggests fires were lit on the same spot over and over again, making it far less likely that what they are viewing is material from wildfires simply blown into the cave by wind. If correct, the Wonderwork discovery would push the earliest indisputable controlled use of fire back by 300,000 years. Even earlier evidence from East African sites, such as Cheswania near Lake Baringo, shows possible evidence that fire was utilized by early humans. Here, archaeologists found red clay shards dated to be 1.4 million years old. Reheating on these shards show the clay must have been heated to 400 degrees C to harden. This evidence of sustained heating makes it likely humans were using fire at least 1.5 million years ago. It has long been accepted that the addition of meat in our ancestors' diet caused their brain size to increase and intelligence to grow. The more concentrated form of energy not only meant bigger brains for our ancestors, but also reduced foraging time needed to maintain energy levels. As a consequence, more time was available for social structure to develop. Harvard professor Richard Wrangham claims it's not just a change in our diet, but the way in which we prepared meat that caused the radical evolution of our species. Cooking, he says, is arguably the biggest increase in the quality of the diet in the whole history of human life. Our ancestors most probably dropped food in the fire accidentally. They would have found it delicious and set off in a whole new direction. The eating of meat ties in with an evolutionary shift resulting in more human-looking ancestors with sharper teeth and a 30% bigger brain called Homo habilis. The most momentous shift, however, happened 1.8 million years ago when Homo erectus, our first truly human ancestor, arrived on the scene. Homo erectus had an even bigger brain, smaller jaws and teeth, shorter arms and longer legs appeared. Gone was the large vegetable processing gut, meaning that Erectus could not only walk upright, but could also run. He was cleverer and faster, and according to Professor Wrangham, he had learned how to cook. Cooking made our guts smaller. Guts are costly in terms of energy, and individuals born with small guts were able to save energy, have more babies, and survive better. Once we cooked our food, we didn't need big guts. And so, the new history of humanity begins with a series of discoveries pushing back the time of every significant early development in our evolution. Our use of tools is now known to have occurred 1 million years earlier. Advanced stone toolmaking 350,000 years earlier. Hunting 1 million years earlier. Fire use and cooking 300,000 years earlier. Accelerated brain growth. Skeletal morphology, gripping hands. The new history of humanity shows that 1 million years ago, humans were capable hunters. With with a diet high in meat protein. We were smarter and cleverer for much longer than previously thought. Agile, intelligent, socially cooperative, probably with extended families containing grandparents who helped rear children and preserve a skill base, allowing us to have more offspring and pass on vital survival knowledge. We must have been the most formidable predator on Earth at that time, with resilient and adaptable groups scattered across Africa and beyond. And then, some unknown event around 1.2 million years ago reduced humans to near extinction. According to genetic studies, genetic diversity on Earth was reduced to as few as 18,500 breeding humans, almost overnight. Humans had become an endangered species. Coming soon in Part 2, follow the evolution of humans from 1 million years ago to 50,000 years in the new history of humanity.